Welcome to this new lesson of this course of AutoCAD Plan 3D. Today we're going to learn some of the basic commands in AutoCAD. The majority of these commands can be used both in the standard AutoCAD version and the AutoCAD Plan 3D version. So I'm going to use them here in the Plan 3D interface, having a P&ID ISA workspace. Okay, I'm going to start here using some of these commands. Some of them can be found on the tool palette, in the different tool palettes we have in AutoCAD Plan 3D. But sometimes it's faster to write commands in our keyboard than looking for them using our mouse in the different tool ribbons. Okay, so let's review one of the commands we have seen so far. For using commands, you have to write. You just have to press the buttons in your keyboard and nothing else. For example, grid display. Remember grid display? It helped us to expand the grid to all over the space. So the grid display, remember it was 3, the number that allowed us to make it look at as it is. Yep. So in all the extension of the working space. Okay, so let's start. Let's start with align. It's something we have already used. And look at this. If I write L, here appears all the different commands with the letter L. Sorry. What's the difference? In the case of line, just by typing L, it recognizes the command line. I can write line complete, okay, and I can draw a line, and there's not going to be any problem. I'm going to put it here, the restriction in 90 degrees, okay. But if I just write L and press enter, I can do the same, just with one press of a button, okay. Well, this happens with some commands, not with all commands. We have these shortened commands for the most used, and we'll have to write the full commands in some cases. Let's see, for example, copy. Copy, the command is copy, but I can write it just CO, and there you have copy, okay? Copy, and I follow the instructions. Now the instructions are not in my cursor, but here in the command box. Okay. It says select objects. I'm going to select these two lines. And after I have selected them, I press enter. Then specify base point. To copy, you'll always have to specify a base point. That's to say, a point in this space that's going to be taken as reference from which I'm going to move. Let's say that point is here. It doesn't have to be on the object that I'm going to copy. It can be anywhere I want. So let's say here, and then I can specify the second point, okay? And that second point is where it's going to copy whatever I'm copying, yeah? And I can continue copying. I just click and click again and click again, and I can copy this as many times as I want, okay? Well, that's copy. Very simple. Now, let's say I accidentally erased this line. I selected it and pressed delete. I can use the command oops, OOPS, oops. And oops will restore the last deleted object. Just the last one. I cannot write oops again because it won't do anything. It's not a Control-C function. It's just to restore the last deleted object, okay? Then let's see another one, rotate. Rotate, the command is rotate, but it can also be used as RO of rotate. See here? So I can click it, or I can just press enter. Enter. So the instruction is select objects. Let's select this line, and I press enter. Then specify base point. Again, let's say the base point is here. And now specify rotation angle. Okay, I can type in the angle, or I can move my cursor and select it graphically, okay? But let's say I want to write. I want it in 87 degrees, okay? So it already rotated from its original position to 97 degrees. Remember, rotate, you can write rotate forward or just RO. Okay, so let's erase some of these things. One of the buttons we saw in in some past classes was the arc. The arc can also has a reduce command, and it's the most simple of all. It's A. The full command is arc, but the reduction is A. So I can type just A, and it will say specify start point of arc or center. Look here. Remember, in the AutoCAD standard version, it appeared like a depiction of the down arrow key. In this case, I don't have the depiction of the down arrow key. I have a word. So if we want to select the center or specify the center, well, I can both click on the word center or just type C. Why C? Because it's the bold letter here. So I'm going to type C and enter. And now I can specify the center point of arc. Let's say it's here. Then it says specify a start point of arc. Okay, let's say it's here. And it's going to create an arc with the center I selected from the specified start to whatever I wanted to be 20. Okay, that's the arc command. Let's create a circle now. Circle has a short command with the C. Just with C, I can create a circle. So let's use C, or the full command is circle. Let's say specify center point for circle, or 3 points, 2 points, and tangent and radius. Remember, let's make it easy and specify the center point. Okay, let's say it's here. Then specify the radius. Let's say it's here. Okay. Now I want to know the area within this circle. So I'm going to write area. Okay, and press enter. It says specify first corner point or object. So as I want to know the area of an object, let's select objects. Okay, select objects is the option now. I select it, and it says here area. Well, it raised. Okay, don't go. Area 48.61. Remember, it's inches. Okay, so I have the area of my circle. Right? I can write again area. If I do this, look what happened. If I write area, and I don't select object, but I just follow the instruction, specify first corner point, I'm going to select, let's say, well, this is the first corner point, but now, well, I have to create an area, right? And it will give me the area of whatever I am creating, okay? Let's say I press enter, and it says, what's the area of that figure I just created. Okay, now let's see another command which has a shortened command. It's array. Array, the full command is array. The shortened is AR. So let's write AR, enter. Select objects. We're going to select our circle and press enter. Then say enter array type, rectangular, path, or polar. Let's say rectangular, R. I just write R, enter. And look what happened. There is a rectangular array. I can expand it in this way or reduce it in this way. Also in this way. Look, okay. Also, I can add more space within columns or within rows. Okay. Oh, no, it's not here. It's, let's see where it is. I'm just moving it, okay. Well, I will have to add more rows here to make the example. Okay, now I can add more space within rows. Okay, I can even merge them like that, like this, okay. And I can also expand it in both directions at the same time, okay. So let's go back. Let's make an array. Remember, I select the object, enter, I select the type of array. Let's use PA, path. Array, select path curve. Okay, in this case, let's go back. Path, it will follow a path that I have to draw. So let's draw a line this way. Okay, and that will be the path I'm going to follow. So I write again, array, enter, I select the circle, enter, I write path, PA, enter, and I select the curve, okay? And I just click enter. So when I select this array, I can expand it through the path I already selected. Look what happened. Why does it not go further? Well, because my path is just here. If I expand the path, I will have an expanded array. Okay? So I erase the path, I erase the array, and I erased also the original circle. Let's create it again here. And let's see the final kind of array. We write array, select the circle, enter, and let's say I want it polar, PO, enter. And it says specify the center point of the array. Let's say the center point is here. And it will create a polar array which contains my original object and well, the rest of the object. Yes, and this is the array. I can change the radius. Look at, even I can make some kind of mandala-like drawings here. Okay, I can change here the angle. I can rotate them. Okay, or change the space between them, so I can make them look like this, for example, and it is a polar array. Or I can multiply them like this, okay, and I can create many kinds of drawings in this array, polar array. Okay, I selected the viewport, so I'm just going to erase this. Okay, continue. Well, I have hide objects. Well, let's write oops. Okay, now I'm going to write hide objects. This one does not have a shortened version. You have to write complete hide objects. Click enter, select objects, and I select this array, press enter, and it's hidden. Okay, it's not erased. I can write oops, and I have not erased anything. It's just hidden. How can I take it back? Well, I have to come here to this button on isolate objects and click end object isolation. Okay, but what happened, because why it says hidden or isolate? Sorry, if I hid it. Well, these are two different options. Look, if I have just used hide objects, but if I use isolate, right, isolate, enter, and I select this object, it's going to hide everything but the selected objects. Look, it hid the yellow box, the viewport, and it just let here this polar array. Okay, so if I want to see the yellow box, I have to come here and write end objects isolation. Okay, so those are these two brothers, hide objects and isolate. I have also highlight. It's right, highlight. Okay, enter new value for highlight. Okay, 1. Okay, well, it didn't do much this time, so perhaps I'm missing something that I need to have selected. Let's select it and try it. Okay, well, don't worry. Let's keep it in 1. Okay. Then we have, well, already line. We saw that. I can just type L, enter, and draw lines. Okay. We can have also mirror, the command mirror, or its shortened version, MI. MI, enter. I select the object. In this case, this is a line, not a polyline, so I have to select any part of the line. After I have selected, I press enter. Then specify first point of the mirror line. Well, if I want this to mirror there must be a mirror, and I created doing that. Specify the first point, nothing happens. But when I move to specify the second point, there appears this this line, this continuous line that allows me to create different mirrors. Okay, and where do I want the mirror to be? Let's say I want it here. Let's say at 90 degrees. Okay, and now it created a copy of the object I selected. Oh, sorry, I pressed Ctrl C when I didn't, when I mustn't. So let's select here again, MI mirror. Okay, first point here. Okay, look, I missed it the last time. After the mirror, it says erase source objects, yes or no. So I can erase the original object and just have the mirror one, or I can keep both. Let's say no, I want to keep both. And that's how it ended. Okay, so we have already saw the mirror command. Let's go now with M line. I write M line, and it says specify start point. Let's say it's here. Specify next point. Say it's here. And look what what it does. Okay, M line gives me a multiple line that can work in these all different ways. Okay, let's erase that. That M is M line, which doesn't have a shortened version. Now polyline. Polyline is not poly, it's PL or P line, the full version. So I'm going to write PL. With PL, I'm going to create a polyline. Let's turn off the restriction of the cursor orthogonality, and let's draw something here. Okay, there I have. This is, we already saw the difference between a polyline, which is a single object, and a line, which are individual objects. Okay, now the following is something it is useful just in a very limited number of situations. It's point. I can write point and it will create a point, or its shortened version, PO, point. Okay, so I write PO, I select the point where I want it to be created, and there it is. I can zoom in as much as I want, and it will remain the same size because it's just a point. It can be annoying sometimes, but let's see an use. Let's say I need a circle, but I want it to be centered in that point. And for some reason, AutoCAD doesn't let me to do that. So I can activate the snap, okay, here. And I'm going to write circle. And then specify center point. I'm going to approach the point I have just drawn. And look, there appears a circle, a green circle with an X that is exactly on the point I just draw. And it will allow me to center my circle there. And then I can just select the point and delete it. And I will have this circle based exactly or centered exactly on that point. Okay, so that's the command PO or point. I can create also polygons. Okay, let's erase this. Let's erase this. I'm going to hide this. Hide objects, remember? Okay. We are going to make polygons. Polygons has a shortened version, POL. Okay, POL is polygon. I can press enter. Number of sides. Well, let's make 10 sides polygon. So I write 10, enter, and I now specify the center. And I have to select if I want it inscribed in a circle or circumscribed about a circle. Let's say I want it inscribed. It's already the value I, so I can write I or just click enter. Okay. Now I have to specify the radius of the circle it's going to be inscribed in. Let's say this one. And there it is. My polygon. I can make polygons of as much sides as I want. Imagine 1,000 sides. It's almost a circle, okay? But it actually isn't a circle. If I make zoom, this is a straight line and not, look, here are the different straight lines, okay? It's not a circle. It's a polygon of 1,000 sides, right? Okay, let's continue. I can also, instead of writing polygon and making a 4-side polygon that will give me this, like a square, I can write a rectangle, okay? And rectangle, the shortened version is rec, R-E-C. So I write rectangle, specify first corner, and then specify the second corner, and I will have rectangle, okay? Look at this one. I can use the command sketch. And sketch will allow me to make some different drawings, okay? Then it says specify a sketch. Okay, what does it mean with a specify sketch? Well, let's sketch. Let's write something. For example, AutoCAD. Well, this is not something I would like to have in my final drawing, but it's a sketch, isn't it? So after I draw it, I just press enter, and now I have an object, well, or different objects of just what I draw. It's sometimes useful. For example, if I need something that looks like, I don't know, like this, and I don't know how to generate that object, that I could with arcs and lines and circles and tangents, but let's say I don't want to get too stressed about that and I just want to draw it. I can do that with a sketch, okay? Now let's create a block. Okay, let's create a block first, and then we're going to do something with that block. Let's. There are two comments about brothers between them, which are block and group. Okay, let's use group first. The group, it doesn't have a shortened version, so it's group. Select objects. I'm going to select all these objects of the sketch. And enter. And it says unnamed group has been created. Now, all these little and separate parts of the drawing are a single object, okay? And now, if it's an object, I can create a block. Let's create a block, okay? Let's say the name is handwriting, okay? The pick point, let's say I want it here. The object, I want it to be this one. Okay, so now I'm creating a block. And what is a block? A block is something that can become a PNID object. Okay, so it's not just a drawing, but it's an AutoCAD unit that can have additional information, additional data. So it's important to create blocks. So what happens if I create a block? Let's create it. Okay, now this is a block. A block can be burst. Okay, what does burst do? Let's write it. Burst, the command burst. It will explode the block. So it says initializing, but it says also select objects. This is the object. I'm going to burst. I press enter. It's regenerating. Okay, and look, this was at first I grouped it. After it was a group, I created a block, and after it was a block, I exploded it. What does that mean? That now I can separate every single part of this block, right? Okay, let's go back. Let's go back. I want it. It's still a group. Okay, now I have it as a single objects. Okay, so I already used burst, I already used block, and I already used group. Now let's group it again. Okay, group. Okay, now it's a group. The blocks can be burst, but the groups can be broken with the command break. Okay, no, sorry, I'm a bit confused. It can only be burst. Look what breaks do. Let's create a line. Okay, now I'm going to write break. Select the object is the instruction. I select the object. Then it says specify second breakpoint or first point, because, well, nobody told me that I was going to break the object where I clicked. So let's write F to be able to select the first point. So I want the first point to be, let's say, here, and then the second point to be here. So it breaks this line, like biting the line and taking out the space I just select. Okay. Other thing I can do with lines is to divide them. Let's create a line and use the command divide. I write divide, enter, select object to divide. I select the line, and then enter the number of segments or block. I want to segment this in, let's say, 4 parts, 4 equal parts. So now they are divided in 4 parts. But you could say, I don't see the division. Well, let's draw lines. And look, with the snap on, I can come here and see that I have this kind of sound clock symbol. But somewhere it will turn into a node in this circular symbol, okay? And there is the first part. I can do the same again. Find the following node, here it is, and there I have 2 parts, okay? I can even move this, and I will find points. See, there is a point. 1 point, here is another point. It's like if I move this line, there is another point, and if I move this line, there is another point. These 3 points are the ones that divide this line into 4. So it then can be like separate and split in these 4 parts, okay? So it's divide. Then something important is to use layers. Layers are here in this button, and I have layer properties, and I have this list of layers. But if I don't want to use the mouse and use it just by keyboard, I can write LA. LA is a short command for layer, and it will open the layer properties window without having to click it, okay? That's the use of layers. We will learn more about it. Then we have another one. It's regen. Regen will regenerate my drawing, okay? At this time, it's not evident what does it do, because, well, I just have a square and a rectangle, and there's no much to regenerate. But when I have a very crowded drawing that it's full of things, full of details, and perhaps I change something and I cannot truly appreciate it, I have to regen. And regen will like redraw everything and allow me to look into the details. Then I have another one which is very useful. It's a scale. You can write it full scale or its shortened version, SC of scale. So I write SC, enter, I select the object, let scale up this rectangle. Select the object, I selected it, and press enter. Then I specify the base point, let's say here, and specify the scale factor, or I can move, okay? Let's say I want it to be 1,000 times bigger. So I write 1,000, enter, and here it is. Now it's 1,000 times bigger than this square that I have here, okay? This square is the little one, this rectangle is the bigger one, okay? With the command scale. I can also scale things without writing the size. It's fine. Again, our square. Let's select it, SC of scale, enter, specify base point. I can move it. I can move. Look, you see? As I move my cursor, it changes its size. So it could be useful not to write the scale factor, but to scale it graphically, just moving that, okay? Now, let's say I want to write something. The command is text. Text, enter, and it says specify start point. Let's say here, specify rotation angle. I don't want it to have a rotation, so let's say 90 degrees. And there is. So let's write AutoCAD. And that's all. Okay, but AutoCAD is too small. Look at here. I want it bigger. Scale. I select an insertion point, a base point, and I make it bigger. Okay, but I want it to fit within this square. So there is a command text fit. Okay, text fit, enter. Select text to stretch or shrink. Well, this is the text I'm going to work with. Specify endpoint. Let's say I want it outside the square. So let's say the endpoint is here. It's going to be stretched to fit this space. Yes, let's move it. I can move it with this square, green square. So let's say I want it here, okay? And I want it inside the square. So let's do it again. Text fit, enter, select the text, and select the endpoint. I want it to be here. And it will shrink the text to fit there, okay? Well, now I can use trim. Trim could be also TR. I select trim, and look what it does. It allows me to erase parts of a drawing, okay? It's more useful if I have it intersected by other things. Let's do this. Let's create this. Okay, now I use trim. I can trim this part, for example, or I can trim this part and this part. Okay, and it looks like now I have this triangle in front of that square and I just trimmed these two parts. Okay, that's TR or trim. And well, remember I told you a block to separate a block. I use burst. To separate a group, I use explode. So let's make this a group. Group, enter, and now all these things are a group. So now let's select them, use X. X is the short version for explode. So instead of writing explode, which is a long word, I just type in X, enter. Well, it says two were not able to be exploded. Well, okay, it did explode. Now, what didn't explode was these two lines. These two lines are a single object, okay? But now the square are different lines. So explode helps me to ungroup things, and burst help me to ungroup blocks. Okay, let's erase it here. Let's unhide the viewport. Okay, and let's create a 3D drawing. Let's set one. Okay. Because in all the commands, so the first is box. It allows us to put a box. It says corner. I say that it's here, the first corner. It says it's other corner, and it shows me the base of my box. Okay, I have to specify the height, and there is when I create the height. So there is one box. Let's create another one. For example, here. Let's say that. Okay, you may ask yourself, how did he rotate like that? Okay, in 3D, obviously we have 3 dimensions, and it's not just to make zoom in and zoom out. I have to rotate. So how do I rotate? I press Ctrl. Okay, first of all, I need a mouse with a scroll button. With a scroll button, I can make zoom in, zoom out and move. I can press the scroll button and move it to the left and to the right. Okay? And to rotate, I have to press Shift and press my scroll button, and that allows me to rotate in 3 dimensions as we are doing right now. Okay? Look, Control allows me to rotate, but like maintaining my point of view. Okay? I'm rotating with Control pressed and the scroll button pressed. Okay? From side to side or from up to down. But if I rotate with Shift, I can rotate in all directions. Okay? Well, that was a small insight. And here we have 2 boxes with the comment box. Now, let's say I want them to be aligned. And I'm going to write 3D align. Okay? Enter. It says select objects. This object and this object. I press Enter. Specify base point. Let's say the base point is here. Specify second point. Let's say it's here. Specify third point or continue. Let's press C, continue. And specify the destination point. Okay, let's say I want it here. And the second destination point, let's say I want it here. And let's say specify the third destination point or exit. Let's press X, exit. Okay, now I have them aligned. Okay, in the direction I selected because they weren't aligned. Okay, other thing we can create here are helices. So the command is helix. Write helix, enter, and let's follow the instructions. Specify center point of base. Let's specify the center point of base here in this corner of this box. Then specify base radius or diameter. Okay, let's say I want this helix to be, well, to be upon tangent to this corner. Okay, press it. Then specify top radius. Okay, let's say, well, at the top, I want the radio to be even higher. I want it to be upon here. Okay, and now it says specify helix height. Okay, so now I can turn and say what the height I want for this helix. Okay, and there it is. I created a helix with an inner radio here and an outer radio here, and it looks like this from the top, and this is the helix. Okay, now if I merge, or not merge, but if I move with the command move, I read move, I think that we haven't seen that, so move, specify base point, and I'm going to move this box to be here, okay, to be within. Okay, well, this is a problem we're going to have in Plan 3D a lot, okay, which is that you think you're moving something in a plane, but it's moving in other plane. Okay, so let's get it back to where it was. Let's move in a 90-degree angle. The specify base point, I want it to be this one, and in a 90-degree angle, I want it to move to here. Okay, now there is what it was. Look, it is like merged within 2 different objects. They are colliding. So I'm going to write interfere. Interfere, enter, select first set of objects. Let's say this one. Enter. Select second set of objects. Let's say this one. Enter. And it will show me what are the part that is interfering, or what is the intersection within them. So now there is one interfering pair, and I can highlight the previous, the next, I can zoom to pair, etc. Okay, but it allows me to verify if there is interference between one object and the other. There's another object or another command I can do. It's poly solid. Okay, it will create a wall-like object from the starting point I specify, let's say here, to wherever I want. Okay, let's do that. And if I pressed escape. So again, poly solid, enter, specify start point, next point, next point, next point, and next point. And then I have to type C of close, okay? And it closes. So it's like creating a wall that encloses whatever I'm drawing, okay? It's poly-solid. And finally, let's see this last command, section plane. Write section plane, enter, and I select, it says, select face or any point to locate section line or draw section. Let's draw a section. Specify a start point. Let's say here. And I'm able to, let's turn this off, to create a plane, okay? Let's say it's complicated to create a plane because you're moving in 3 directions at the same time. But let's say it's here, okay? It says specify next point or enter to complete, enter. So there is the plane I just draw, okay? Look, it's cutting this part. Then specify point in direction of section view. Let's say here. And what does it do? It hides everything below, behind the plane, and just let me see this part. I know there is an object here because it shows me it's these ribs, but I'm only looking the part that is in front of this plane I just drawn, okay? So let's say Control Z. Okay, and well, those are all the commands I have for you today. This is the end of this lesson. Many thanks for being here, and see you in the following lesson of this AutoCAD Plum 3D course.